the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is the WGNS Action Line, talking with Rutherford County newsmakers about what matters most to you. Now, your host, Bart Walker.
Well, good morning to you. Welcome into the broadcast this morning. We are focusing on law and order. A very interesting program today. We are focusing on the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. And every time we do that, we're always proud to welcome Lisa Marciuccioni with us. We've been friends for decades.
Yes, we have, Bart.
It's great to have you with us.
Thank
today.
you. It's good to be here with you.
And you brought a friend with you.
I brought Detective Sergeant Richard Brinkley, and he knows I'm going to tell this story. His mother and I went to high school together. We were friends in high school.
Cool.
So it's nice to be working with him now.
Does that make you feel funny?
No, I like it.
Well, you were the one in charge of a press conference last week on a cold case, and technology is enabling you to learn new things. You learned the identity of this John Doe who was killed. When was he murdered?
He was found August 1st.
Pull that a little bit closer to you, if you would.
He was found August 1st, 1978. So he was either probably murdered in those AM hours of that day or the day before. Well,
where did this happen?
He was discovered at Pool Knobs Recreation Area here in Rutherford County. It's up near Percy Priest Lake, near the kind of Smyrna-Laverne border. Not far from Davidson County either. So.
I've often heard from cold case detectives that after the case is over and time has passed, people sometimes are more willing to share, I know somebody or I heard something. Are you hearing that now since this press conference?
Yes, a little bit. We've had some people call in. I've actually got to do a follow-up on that today. A gentleman I got to speak with. I've had several people call in and say that they may have known him potentially. We've got to consider the 47 years since this event. Yeah. And, memories start to fade a little bit and the stories change. But it's very possible that someone's going to come forward with some good information that we can follow up on.
Let me try to remember from the press conference. It seems like you did not know why he was in town. He's from another area. Tell us where that is. But he was in the military, which may have been why he was in town.
Correct. Yeah, we've had a few developments as far as that goes. Have found that he was more than likely born in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Was also known to be in Bladen County, North Carolina. The relative that I've spoke to there has shared as much as she can with me. And she shared a story too that he did some stuff in Alabama that might be a little questionable, but I'm trying to follow up on that. I've reached out to some authorities in Alabama, and they're trying to track down some information for me there. We're also looking into his military record and trying to do that. Some of the roadblocks that we've ran into with that is it looks like his name was spelled differently on his military records. So
dramatically differently? No.
So the name that we have is Jesse Williamson, but it's spelled with an I. The military records that we have discovered is Jesse, just Jesse Williams. They've left out the Williamson. So that has changed some stuff for us. But everything else kind of lines up. The date of birth that we've got, the birth location, the parents' names, and those kinds of things. So just puts a little kink in it.
Is the federal ID like Jesse Williamson or Jesse Williams? I know you said the military was Jesse Williams. So this is interesting. That's a slight difference.
Yeah, just Jesse Williams is the what we are finding so far. That's the military record is Jesse
Strictly
Williams.
Military.
Still working on trying to get a DD-214. That would help us tremendously.
What in the world is that?
That's your release
okay.
release papers.
Where'd that
all
come
the
from?
documentation as far as that goes.
Okay.
I've had I had another gentleman reach out to me and said, well, if he was in the military, he should have had his fingerprints in the military. So that's correct. We have tried to check against that database and not receiving anything back that's valuable. Every time we've asked for that, it was asked for when the case originated, and Detective Kohler and myself also sent those off again several years ago and didn't get any results back. My understanding on that is one of the areas that houses a lot of that information in Arkansas or Missouri. I can't quite remember that. But anyways, that facility burned, so a lot of those records are maybe gone. I'm not real sure. That's something I've been told.
Take us back to that day there on the lakefront when this happened. Well, first of all, you don't really know that it happened at that point, do you?
Correct. Everything that we have points to that being what we call a dump site. Even the autopsy report, not to get into graphic details, but it lists some abrasions on his back and shoulder blade area, which indicate that he was drugged. There was also some material left behind on the paved asphalt area that also kind of shows that he was drugged. And all of that, just some common sense. Anybody who's ever watched a TV show or anything like that can kind of figure out he was probably brought there in a vehicle, more than likely pulled out of that vehicle, be it a car, truck, whatever, then drugged from the asphalt over into to the side of the parking lot in the vegetation area.
And he was wrapped in a blanket. Is that right? Or am I dreaming that up somewhere?
No, not dreaming it up. There's some bedding material there, and if he's actually wrapped in it or if it's actually just thrown over top of him, kind of depends on which way you wanted to look at that. There's some other stuff there too, but most of that was set on fire, because he was also burned.
So were they able to put the fire out quickly enough to get most of the body for identification purposes?
Looking back over the reports and the photos that I have from the original case file, the fire was out. So the groundskeeper that was working that morning, when he comes making his rounds, his last name's Barrett, if that's significant or not. But anyways, he's making his rounds, and he sees this something smoldering over in the grassy area. And his first assumption is that, well, someone left a fire overnight, maybe been fishing or something like that, or someone was maybe burning trash, what have you. And so upon closer inspection, he sees that, oh no, it's not trash, it's not a bonfire, it's a body. And so the fire was out. Whatever they had used then, probably, this is my assuming, I've not seen any records of it, but maybe an accelerant was used to try and get that bedding to burn, and it had already kind of went out, but it was just smoldering.
For somebody who just tuned in, what day and year was this, and again, where was it?
August the 1st, 1978, at Pool Knobs Recreation Area.
Okay, at Pool Knobs, and that's on Percy Priest Lake.
That is correct.
What is that near?
Near Smyrna, Laverne, also not far from the Davidson County border as well. And if you wanted to look at the north, south, east, west directions, it would be the north. Well, as far as the lake goes, it's more of on the southern end of the lake, but on the west side.
So August 1st, 1978, this groundskeeper saw something over there smoldering. First thought it might be a fire that someone left unattended. Then he discovered, oh no, it's a body.
That's correct.
At what point did the detectives discover that he had, was it 3 bullet wounds?
He had been shot 5 times.
5 times? Ooh.
Yes, multiple times in the head and also in the torso.
Was that obvious, or did even the groundskeeper notice that? Because this is a long time ago.
Probably not immediately recognized. The injuries, it depends on how closely they inspected his head. Because like I said, most of the shots are to the head, but he's in pretty good condition considering everything that was done to him. He's got some severe burns, even up to 4th degree burns. which is when it's burning into the muscle and stuff like that, maybe even exposing bone. But his facial features are still pretty good. There's still hair on his head. You can make out quite a bit about him. And I think part of that was actually the bedding that was on top of him that was on fire actually kind of protected him a little bit. But his extremities, his arms are burnt pretty good, and the left hand's burnt pretty bad. It made it hard to get good quality prints off that hand.
Was it determined on that day or days after that he was he dead when they found him?
Yes.
And if so, how long had he been deceased?
I could only assume that. From my training and experience and looking at the old photos and from reading the autopsy, he was probably there less than 8 hours. And
so it happened that day, probably.
More than likely, within probably, I mean, there's a chance it could have been 12 hours or 8 hours. I'm not there. I can't see, if rigor mortis is set in, if we've got lividity, and if those kinds of things are set. But just looking at the photos and reading the autopsy and just seeing the general condition of the body, it was not in a what we refer to as a decomposition stage. So it was a very, very fresh scene.
So in reality, we're looking at this as something that happened in Rutherford County. It could have happened anywhere in Middle Tennessee or easily in Nashville.
That's correct. I mean, you could have this event could have occurred with anywhere in a couple hours drive.
Knoxville, Memphis, anywhere.
Sure. Even we know they have some ties to Alabama. I mean, we're not that far from the Alabama line. Someone could have drove and dumped him here and there. I mean, that's all assumptions. We don't know that answer yet. Going to find that out, though.
It's hard
I have
to
confidence.
guess. It's hard to guess how somebody who would do such a horrendous crime, what they would be thinking about.
Yeah. Most of the time they're thinking just, I got to get rid of this. It was probably done. And again, this is my assumptions or just kind of brainstorming. They done this event in the heat of the moment. And the next thought is, I got to get rid of this body. So they go try and do that as fast as they can. Probably chose Pool Knobs because it's a familiar area to the person. It's also very secluded, so it's a good chance to go back there and be able to dump that body off, get back home, no one ever know.
It's hard to say. If maybe somebody saw them dumping the body, saw a car, got a description of a car, anything like that. Even if you think you did but aren't sure, you need to know about it.
That'd be excellent. Yes. Give me a call, 615-904-3045.
615-904-3045?
That is correct.
Okay. So any information you have, give him a call. Let's look at some more surroundings of this, because this might help jog the memories of people. Any idea? Well, first of all, do you know what day August 1st is on? People might relate to, I'm always over there near that area on Fridays or Saturdays or whenever it is.
That's a good question. I'm sure
Lisa's checking.
It's in a note somewhere, but just trying to pull that off of memory, I can't do that right now.
Okay, so then they found him late that night or early in the morning? Or?
My understanding is morning hours. Yeah, as he was making, the Mr. Barrett, that was the property manager or groundskeeper, whatever you want to call it, as he was making his rounds that morning, is my understanding. And I could have that incorrect. It could be evening, but I believe it's morning time, early a.m. hours.
So the sun had come up or had it not?
From the photos that I've got from the original investigation, it's daytime.
Daytime, okay.
Yeah.
I'm asking that because I'm trying to let the person who's listening, who thinks they may have seen something, it sort of puts them more in the time frame of when this happened. And Lisa has found that year, she always keeps a calendar with her.
Tuesday, August the 1st, 1978.
Tuesday. So that would narrow it down a little bit more, because, I mean, how many people are going to be out at the boat dock on Tuesday mornings?
Well, our fine sportsmen that are out there fishing.
That's right. Could be a good, in August would certainly be a good fishing time. Good fun.
Anytime's good for fishing. Anytime.
Sounds like the voice of a professional fisherman.
Not so much. I'm really good at fishing. I'm terrible at catching.
But you have fun. That's what counts.
That's right.
Well, what else have people been telling you? Because this, when you share this, somebody else, it might spark. You never know what sparks the memory of someone. What other items, for example, when you talk to his sister in
His niece.
In Fayetteville, North Carolina. How far away? That's pretty far from here.
A lot further than I would want to walk.
Yes.
A pretty good drive, I guess. I've looked at it on the map, but you're looking at kind of northwest North Carolina, if I'm correct on that.
I have no idea.
I've looked. It's just I can't visualize it right now. I've never been there. It would be neat to go over there and talk to the niece, but I do know that she comes here sometimes. I know she's come over here to World Outreach Church. It was kind of an interesting conversation. The first time I talked to her, she was reluctant to answer the phone. She thought it was a scam because she had just been here at World Outreach. So
she has that was her connection to here to go to a church service.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So. Has she been here for any of the reasons, or does she think her uncle was here for any reason?
She doesn't know.
Does she even remember him?
She does, and that's a really good thing about this case is getting to speak to someone that does remember him and seeing him come around. She kind of explained to me that maybe they weren't really all that close. She knew him, and he'd come around, resided with her grandmother when he was around in that area, and just noticed that at one point he kind of stopped coming around. Didn't think a whole lot of it, and that's why he was never reported missing.
So and nobody knew it here because he was John Doe.
Correct, and we don't know his circle of friends here, or his support system that he had here. Maybe he was here, just trying to think of different reasons. I know we have the Veterans Hospital here. He was a veteran. He was in the Navy for 2 years, from 44 to 46. Don't know what his job was yet in the Navy, but that's a good reason he could have been here. He did have an advanced heart surgery for the time that wasn't necessarily uncommon. That was something that was explored quite a bit in 78, was trying to figure out maybe where he had this surgery. One of the earlier investigators that I've been able to speak with informed me that they explored that avenue quite a bit. Do not think that the VA here offered that service, but multiple hospitals around did. But if you don't have a name, you're not going to get any kind of medical records. So
what is his age? What was his age when he died?
In 1978, he would have been 52 years old.
So if he had had a heart surgery, he would have been in his 40s probably, or early 50s.
Could have been.
Which is pretty unusual, I would say.
We don't know why he had to have that surgery. From my memory, it's called a Dacron graft. I have spoke to another individual that's trying to help me find more information on him, and that was a little bit more knowledgeable about that surgery. But there's really nothing about it that is traceable, other than maybe some of the clips that were used. And I'm probably using the wrong verbiage for any kind of medical treatment, because
it would be interesting to know where that was done, and then you could find out who did it, and that could give you a whole new direction as to his identity and maybe his background. Something may have caused that need for a heart surgery.
And it just kind of maybe show some of his movements around, what state, what cities, that kind of stuff. And then that also leads you to finding more information, because he may have listed a next of kin or a residence. Anything like that just kind of helps us learn more about him.
We're talking about a cold case murder right now, and any help that you can give, if this spurs your attention, be sure and help out. You can easily, after the broadcast, call Detective Sergeant Richard at the Sheriff's Office, and his number is 615-904-0. What was the rest of it again?
615-904-3045. 3045.
3045. Okay, I'm glad that you were here to correct that. So you can call and talk with Sergeant Detective Richard Brinkley with more information on that. Now, when you talk to the sister, or niece rather,
yeah.
When you talked to his niece, you said she was a little apprehensive to tell you too much, but you felt there was some different side of him that she was maybe not proud of.
Well, I don't know that she's not proud of, but I think it may be just a little lack of knowing him, very well. I think there's about a 20-year difference between them. So she remembers him coming around, but just his demeanor, and what he was getting into and that kind of stuff, she's not real sure.
The reason I'm asking that because that may help spur somebody's, like if he was into gambling, playing cards, who knows, somebody could say, oh yeah, I was in a poker game with him 2 nights earlier or
That's
something.
Right.
Or,
That's right. Yeah, I don't have anything like that, other than that he did go to Alabama and spend some time down there, and maybe was married there, but she doesn't remember the wife's name or if he ever had any children. There's a chance that this man had a child out there somewhere, and the genealogy work that's been done could eventually show that up. Or that was probably the wrong use of words there, but anyways, that may show up there, and it could be a child come forward one day that's always been searching for their father and never been able to find them, and Jesse Williamson may be their father. Who knows?
Interesting.
That would be a really interesting turn of events.
Boy, especially if they knew their father.
If they knew him, yeah, that'd be really good. Or even if they don't, and it just brings them some closure, that'd be great too.
Very interesting. Lisa, you have been the public information officer with the Sheriff's Department for decades. Prior to that, you were a reporter with the Daily News Journal, so your background is really news. This is a case that is bound to be interesting for you. As a reporter, what would run through your mind?
I think the unknown, wanting to get answers. And I've written several stories about this through the years. And to me, I just really love that DNA helped identify him, because that gives answers to it gives answers to the detectives, it gives answers to the family. And to me, that's the most fascinating part so far.
And what's also fascinating is we're about to get a forensic center here in Rutherford County, and from what I understand, that's one of the areas they can help us in. You won't have to go distant places to get some of your information, I guess.
The distance and then the sharing of information, I think that we'll get better. Nothing against where we're going currently, but it takes a lot of time, and there's maybe a slight breakdown in communication sometimes.
So this will give you local connections.
Correct. A place that we can go to, just right up on the edge of Smyrna off a Weekly Lane.
Yeah.
And so we can go there, or just create your connections and get the information quicker.
So you can have closure for families a whole lot more quickly.
That, it should, and help save some money too. Transportation fees and that kind of stuff. So,
And the time.
The time. Time is of the essence, especially on cases like this. If we had a case today and someone's killed, maybe it's a whodunit or a John Doe, Jane Doe type case, we can start getting that information quicker. We can maybe build that correspondence between the pathologist and the investigator and get a better sharing of information.
Does the federal government have forensics material that they share easily with you?
I'm unfamiliar if they do. I know
so that's not a source of information for you?
Not that I've used in the past. I don't know that if federal, it's probably just federal funding, grant money and that kind of stuff where we would receive. But as far as a forensic investigation on pathology, no, not to my knowledge.
There are several things you've mentioned that, just as a listener who is involved in news, I'm surprised that you have not been able to find information from the Navy. It just looks like they would push a button and there it would be.
Well, anything federal, you get what's called red tape. So we got to fight through all of that. And then we're in the most wonderful situation right now with a federal shutdown.
So, and I hadn't even thought about that. So that affects, surely.
Absolutely.
Is the FBI shut down?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
But reaching out to some of the other places and trying to get information, you're finding, it's halting progress because of the federal shutdown, for sure.
So if anybody listening remembers what you were doing, and this is a far stretch, but it could happen. Tuesday morning, August 1st, 1978. Think about where were you Tuesday morning, August 1st, 1978, or just think about where were you in 1978. And if you can remember fishing, dropping over to Pool Knob Recreation in the Smyrna-Laverne area, Percy Priest Lake, if you remember any of that, you might be able to help in this case. And if they do remember going there but can't say, it was August 1st. I think I would have a hard time right now if I said, yeah, I remember going there, but I can't remember if it was August 1st or the 30th or July or whenever. Could they still have some information that could help you?
They could. It could be something that maybe just stuck out to them at that time. And if maybe bringing this story back to life helps jog the memory, so to speak. And a small detail may come forward, hey, I remember going back there and I saw something. I saw the fire too and didn't think anything of it. Never knew it was a body.
Yeah.
So.
And if you were in the Navy, especially in 44 to 46, maybe you ran into this man,
Yeah.
Jesse Williams. As far as the Navy is concerned, Jesse Williams. In his real life, he was also Jesse Williams' son. And Jesse is spelled differently in both cases.
Correct. And I don't have an explanation for that. Again, only assuming, and we know what that does. But anyways, there's the chance that he may have not even known how to spell his name. So when he provided his name to Navy records, they spelled it one way and he just went with it. I don't know.
I think that is the case with census records and things of that sort. You tell them your name, and whoever's taking the records, writing it down, that's what they go with, whether it's spelled that way or even close.
And he could have mostly went by a nickname. I don't even know that. There's a good chance he just had a nickname too. So.
And if you think you might know that too, that would be a big opener.
It could help, yes.
And once again, the phone number is 615-904-3045. That is your personal office number or your cell number or what?
That's my office number, yes. And if you don't get me, just leave a message. I will do my best to call you back in a timely manner.
Okay. And once again, for people who just tuned in, sought to go over the name of the person, what the circumstances were, how did you find him, what happened, and how you just recently learned his name after all of these years.
Yes, just to recap, August 1st, 1978, best of my memory, AM hours, a body was found at Pool Knob's recreation area. The groundskeeper there saw what he thought was a smoldering fire, went over to further investigate, and sees a body. And the man had been shot multiple times in the head and in the torso, covered by some bedding material, and that had obviously went out. But we didn't know who he was for a long time. Partnered with Ortham Laboratories in Texas and was able to provide them with a sample where they created a DNA profile. Subsequently, they found potential family members. I've reached out to that family member and got a sample from them. They was able to get that DNA profile and make a positive identification of Jesse Lee Williamson, and otherwise maybe known as Jesse Williams.
That's fascinating how you're able to do that. And if it wasn't until you got that DNA profile, which then linked you to the niece, I guess.
That's correct. And it wasn't just me. It's a whole team effort. There's a lot of people who've been involved with this case. I can't express my gratitude enough. I'm just one more spoke in the wheel on this case.
This is exciting. I mean, this is a CSI that's real.
Yeah. Long term.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and the sheriff's office, I guess, has had this on their files, working it as a cold case since 1978.
This case has been in many hands. That's correct. And there's a chance it could even go further because it's not closed by any means. It's still an active homicide investigation. We, by learning his name and identity, it's just a new beginning, as I've said before. So it's basically starting a fresh case that's just got a lot of time on it.
I know after we went to the press conference, we spoke a little bit with Sheriff Mike Fitzhugh, and he said, this is just one more proof that we never leave something alone. It may be a cold case, but we're still working on it.
That's right. And the suspects, you're always going to be looking over your shoulder.
Very definitely. And the longer it goes, the more people will speak without fear.
Sometimes, there's a potential of what's called deathbed confessions or the scorned wife. That's a great one.
Whoa. We will be back and we'll wrap up our discussion this morning in just a moment. Stay with us.
From the big news of the day to stories from everyday life, it's the Rick Burgess Show on WGNS, weekdays 11 till 2.
This is Peter Demas, and our family is inviting your family to come eat with us at Demas's restaurant. When Kristen said, okay, when we're going to do the remodel, because we're celebrating 35 years, we also wanted to make it more open and inviting. So we made the lobby a lot more open. Booth seats, a little bit different colors to kind of still keep it a little up to date, make it fresh. We wanted to make it cozier, make it a little bit brighter for people to see, to pay homage to where we have been the entire time. Demas's restaurant on Northwest Broad Street.
Hi Murfreesboro, this is Amanda from Animal City. We're at 919 Northwest Broad Street. We have not forgotten about our reptile lovers either. Here at Animal City, we have a great selection of products for our cold-blooded friends too. Here at Animal City, we have a full range of habitats, substrates, and other accessories. We have a great selection of products for our reptile lovers. We are so proud to be Murfreesboro's pet destination for 35 years. Animal City, 919 Northwest Broad Street. Family owned and operated.
Hi, my name is Diane Davenport. There are many reasons why I love Adams Place. So many people move here from out of town and they need to look for a new doctor. And it's very challenging to get a doctor because they don't always take Medicare. There's a long waiting list. So what Adams Place offers is called Blue Sky House Calls. A physician will see you. You can get health care that you need when you need it. They'll come anytime.
Come tour Adams Place and discover living a dream in your senior years.
This message brought to you by the Central Tennessee Regional Solid Waste Planning Board. Visit RecycleRightTN.com for tips, ideas, and locations on where to recycle near you. That's RecycleRightTN.com.
Recycle right, it's all on you. Don't be trashy, recycle classy, recycle right, Tennessee.
Go to RecycleRightTN.com.
Recycle right, Tennessee.
Listen each weekday morning at 9 o'clock for the Roundtable here on News Radio WGNS. Interesting hosts and guests with the news, views, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Interesting program today. We are looking at cold cases, and we were looking specifically at the Jesse Lee Williamson case. They just found his name after 50-something years.
47 years.
47 years. It's a long time. Didn't know it, and they found it through DNA evidence which linked you to the family in North Carolina.
That is correct.
There are other cases that you're working on in this unique way. The Sanders case is something that's on your table right now. Tell us about that.
Well, the Sanders case was... Okay, let me just give the long, short story. Anyways, also working this case, Jesse's case. as we were working on it, a press release several years ago was done, and a family member came forward then from Portland, Tennessee, and they said, hey, I think that could be my brother. And so he gave us some details of the brother. He also went missing in the summer of 78 and was going to go to North or South Carolina to farm for the rest of the season, and sent us a picture that very much resembled what was known as John Doe then. So we started following up on that case. I say we, the detectives that were working it then. I was very limited involvement at that point in time. But anyways, got some DNA then from existing family members, known family members, and submitted it in. And then the long period of waiting in anticipation. And the results finally came back, and no dice. It was not Sanders. And so kind of interesting. So we submitted those standards in, and the profile was submitted in, and a case was created for Mr. Sanders. Then, fast forward a few years, get a phone call from the agency is, I can't recall it at the moment, in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
This agency reached out and says, hey, the DNA that you submitted for Sanders, we were able to identify a John Doe case here in Florida. So
same person.
That's correct. So James Sanders was then identified in Florida as a result of the extensive work done by the detectives at that point in time.
Now,
so kudos to them. They did some good work.
So you got the name from Florida about James Sanders. And when did this case happen, and where did it happen?
The name of the agency, I'm struggling, but it's not far from Naples.
Okay.
So southwest Florida. The James Sanders was a case there that the gentleman had been murdered and was unidentified for many, many years. And again, so the press release that we did on John Doe, family thought that John Doe might be Sanders. So we started working that and looking into that, and subsequently discovered that it was not John Doe, but it was this James Sanders guy. Many years later, the Florida detectives reached out and said, hey, just to let y'all know that the DNA profiles that y'all were able to obtain from family members identified their John Doe there, which was James Sanders.
So the family here in Tennessee, and I believe you said Portland, was it?
Portland was, I believe, best of my recollection, a half-brother. He had children in Missouri, and so they was able to get their DNA samples as well. And again, it resulted in discovering that their father had actually was a victim of homicide as well in Florida in the late 70s, early 80s when he had went missing. So he'd been missing a long time too.
This is just amazing. It must be fascinating to you also how technology has changed, and you're able to solve these John Doe cases without any information, and then suddenly through DNA you've got the name, you've got some background, you learn what this person was like a little bit.
Yeah, it's great. Science is improving all the time. It's as fast paced as technology, it seems like, and just getting some answers for families out there, that's just one of the best things in the world that we can do. The families that are wondering what happened to their loved ones have been wondering for decades, and we're able to get that to them.
Out of curiosity, and you probably don't know this, but I'll go ahead and ask it. What is your oldest cold case that has not been solved? Do you have some really old ones?
There are some more from the 70s. I don't know the exact years. I've looked into a few of those as well, but my main focus has been on this one for several years.
Okay, so you don't have any from the 1800s or the 20s or 30s?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
There probably are. I mean, it's reasonable to believe that there are. I'm unaware of them.
Those are really cold.
Very. That's another thing for Orthram, the laboratory that helped us. I would encourage people to kind of take a peek at their website and look at some of the cases they have. They've solved, or they've identified some cases that are up to about 100 years old.
Wow.
So pretty neat.
So I guess there are some family members still living for those particular people, although the longer it is, people may not know who they are.
This case in particular, they were able to trace the lineage from the 1800s. The family name that we started tracing was a Kane name, and they were all born in the 1800s, and it just kept working down. I don't know how they do it, so I'm not smart enough to figure that out, but it's a lot of fun. They just give me the information, and I go follow up on it.
That must be a real thrill for you, because you have a passion for this.
It's neat. It's really fun. The most difficult part of it is when you reach out to a family member is getting them to understand what it is you're asking for, and also getting them to understand that you're not a scammer. That has set us back a lot. All these phone scams and people that are asking for money. So having said that, if someone starts asking you for money, that's a clue right off the bat. They're probably trying to scam you. So typically I would reach out to them and say, I would try and introduce myself, tell them who I was, what I was doing, what I was working on, ensure them that I did not want any money from them. And a lot of times I would also mail them a letter on letterhead from the sheriff's office with my contact information, and encourage them to reach out to the sheriff's office to confirm that I am who I am and that what I'm working on. So that helped ease some minds.
Did this niece in North Carolina do that? You said she was uncomfortable.
She had some of her family do it. She was very, very sharp-minded, but she wanted maybe a daughter or someone. She had someone kind of reach out and do a little checking. And that's great. That's what I would encourage anyone to do, because these cases, you get a phone call just out of the blue from a detective that starts asking you questions about a potential family member. It could be a third, fourth cousin, and then they're wanting your DNA. Well,
you needed her DNA also.
Correct. I had to have the niece's DNA.
I can see why that would.
Yeah. So it sounds a little awkward, And, a lot of people are very leery of law enforcement or the government and that kind of stuff, and I get it. But we can't do it without the public's help. We have to have our public's help. That's how law enforcement gets the job done.
And it's fascinating because you mentioned when we started talking about we're getting our own forensic center here in Rutherford County early next year, I think it is, that's going to really make it a whole lot faster for you to get some answers.
It should. It definitely should, especially on the side of autopsies and getting those answers from the pathologist.
And those are going to be done here by our own pathologist.
That's correct.
What a difference that's going to make.
Yes, it should become a self-sufficient operation too, because we spend so much money sending all of our people off for autopsies to Nashville to Forensic Medical, which is a for-profit company.
After time, do you foresee, or maybe this is a dream, that there will ever be a time that due to forensic technology there will no longer be cold cases? Or if there are, they will be for a very short period of time.
It can definitely help. You're always going to have people trying to outwit the system and be smarter than law enforcement. There's a lot of intelligent people out there, and sometimes intelligent people commit crimes too. But it'll definitely change things. It's constantly changing. Technologies help us tremendously. So there's a lot of good that's come from technology as far as law enforcement and being able to help us solve cases. Find loved ones, missing persons, that kind of stuff. The technology is just wonderful.
And on that note, we want to say a very special thank you to Detective Sergeant Richard Brinkley for joining us today and telling us about the Jesse Lee Williamson pool knob case and how it's still not solved, but it's not as cold as it was.
That's right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all that you do to make this a safer community.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I've always been told I had a face for radio.
Oh, you got a good voice for radio, too. Thank you for joining us this morning. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hey, have a super rest of the day. If you can help with any information, that would be very much appreciated. Again, your phone number is
615-904-3045.
Thank you again. That's Detective Richard Brantley with the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. Stay with us. Chip is next, right here on your Good Neighbor station. Hey, have a great day.